Welcome, weary traveler, back to the Dragons Lyre, your new favorite home for everything nerd, gaming, Dungeons and Dragons, and just the love of the game. So today what we're going to do is we're going to have our first episode talking about Dungeons and Dragons. We're going to talk about some very basic things, and then we're going to talk about some extra things that you can add to either have some more fun with your game or to think outside the box. I'm going to show you some things that I've picked up along the way that I do for some of my games that I have a lot of fun with. So we're going to start off with some basics. Some basics that most people use, not everybody, is some people like to use pens, markers, maps. So obviously it's best for your character sheets to use pencils. I always use clicky pencils. Markers, because I use vinyl maps. I use vinyl maps that either have squares on one side and hexes on the other, or just squares. Some people use paper, grid map paper. So when talking about markers, when you're using vinyl, the thing that you want to make sure that you're doing is that you're using wet erase markers. Dry erase markers are going to stick forever. I have a map that has a city street with cars on it in red, and it's been that way for 15 years. It fades over time, but just about any cleaner that you could use to put on it to try to take that marker off is going to also take off the finish of the map, and so it'll bleach it white, basically. So if you do put a dry erase marker on a vinyl map, if you're quick, you can wipe it off right away, and you'll be fine. You'll be okay. But the second that dries, it's pretty much on there. Not everybody uses maps. Some people use what's called theater of the mind, and that's when you just describe, I open the door, I see this, and the monster is this many feet in front of me. On my turn, I move to the monster, and I attack. That's kind of how I was raised. I didn't grow up in the gaming culture with maps and miniatures and all of that. I use maps and miniatures now. I prefer maps and miniatures, but there's nothing wrong with theater of the mind. It's whatever your play style is, whatever your players enjoy. Once again, get the most out of your game the way that you want it, and for your group and for your people. Don't let anybody else pressure you. Miniatures are a big thing that a lot of people use. I love miniatures. I don't necessarily always have the right miniature to express the right thing, so I got a Werejackal here. He's pretty cool. I got a Dire Bear. You can get miniatures at most gaming shops. They come in packs. You can buy them online. You can even buy singles. Some stores break them up, or they buy collections of old ones. So I would definitely suggest getting miniatures. I use battle droids from an old Star Wars miniatures game a lot because I got a bunch of them. They all look the same, and it really differentiates between the players on the map and the bad guys. So that can be something that's pretty easy to tell. You want to use books. Now, sometimes, like with D&D Beyond, you can purchase the rights to use the books there, and it's all in your D&D Beyond, and that's cool. Some people like to buy the books and have a collection on your shelf at home. I personally have like 38 3.5 Dungeons and Dragons books. I'm really happy with my 3.5 collection. I also play Pathfinder version 1, so I have a lot of version 1 Pathfinder books, books from other game systems and all sorts of things like that. I just like a neatly curated collection, and that's just what I choose to do and who I choose to be. So if you're not running homebrew, one thing I do love is you can get basically pre-constructed games. So this is Curse of the Crimson Throne, Pathfinder, first edition. It is a great pre-constructed game. If you're a dungeon master and you want to run a game, or you're new to being a dungeon master, everything you need is pretty much right here. That's what I like about a pre-con. It allows me to run a game and not have to do the constant imagination work. Currently, I am running Curse of the Crimson Throne online. I've been running it for about 2 years now during COVID. I also picked up running Curse of Strahd. This is the revamped This is the revamped version of Curse of Strahd for 5th edition. I just started running that. I like it quite a bit. I love my group. I got some great players. in both of those groups. If you don't have the funds for books or you don't have access or whatever the reason is, you can access the rules from a couple different websites that I think are really great. One is the Pathfinder SRD, and the other one is the 5th edition SRD. Google those. It's the first or second outcome on the search. They're great resources. They often include many different books from all sorts of different sources. If you ever need a rule real quick, I've got the Pathfinder SRD on my phone. Like, it's a favorite on my Google searches. It's a very powerful tool. So if you're ever looking for something like that, you need a rule real quick, you can always go to those as resources. Those are pretty cool. Some extras that maybe you haven't seen before. Some time ago, I found this on Pinterest. If you're a dungeon master and you're not using Pinterest, I really suggest that you look into it. Pinterest and Instagram, there's a lot of things there. There's a lot of really cool, talented people creating content on Instagram and Pinterest, especially maps. There are people out there that make wonderful, beautiful digital maps. And that's one thing I actually want to get into, not map making, but I want to make a digital map. So I download the maps and I put them on a screen, and then everyone's moving their miniatures on a digital playing field. That's really one of my goals that I'm stretching to. Another goal that I'm trying to reach out into, I just haven't gotten there yet, is building my own terrain. There's a game system there's a terrain system called Terrano that I think is really cool. I've looked into it. I've watched some videos. I like it a lot. I think it is going to work out. It's very cost effective. So you buy the tools, simple, easy tools that you could get at any Walmart or any dollar store. You buy the materials, same thing, Walmart or dollar store. And then you build some of your own tools that you then use to build the terrain. It's very cool looking. I haven't bought the product yet, but I am going to do a review of it once I buy it and once I start using it to show you guys the finished product and what it's all about. I think it's very cool. I think it's going to work out. And one of the best things is, in the end, your terrain pieces wind up being like pennies a piece. Like, they've got a thing on their website. Take a look at their website, and it shows you like wall sections, and then the breakdown is like, this cost 19 cents in the end. That, right, for me, is a big selling point. One, I'm a hobbyist, so I like to build things and model things. I've been building things my entire life. And two, it's cost effective, and that's what I need. I love Dwarforge. Dwarforge looks amazing. I wish I had all of it and multiple copies of all of it. It's also outside my price range. So I'm looking into Terrano. I'm going to start doing that. This is something that I picked up from Instagram. So basically, this piece right here is just a plastic binder that you can get. It's for like display pieces if you own a business or something like that. You can get them, you can get them at Walmart, you can get them at Staples or a stationery store or something like that. Depending on where you live, I find there's a price difference. Where I'm from in Mount Pleasant, these things are like $10. Down where I live now in Lansing, Michigan, they're like $5. So I don't know why there's a price difference, but there just is, and I guess it just depends on where you live. But I like them. I've got a couple of them. Right now, what I put into it, because it's clear plastic, you can put a sheet into it, 8.5 by 11 sheet into it, and this is reminder rules that are on there. So this is for a card game called Red Dragon Inn, but point is you can put rules in there that are helpful. It's also clear plastic, so you can write on it with a wet erase marker. One thing I've done before is I put on here, we had a bard, and the bonuses that the bard was giving, so everyone could see the bonuses that they should be remembering every turn. So maybe you've got a cleric, and the cleric's got bless on. You could write on here on wet erase marker what players are subject to the bless and what it does to help them remember every turn. But anyways, this is something I've been doing for a bunch of my games. You get a regular old clothespin, and then you write the name of the player on it, or in this case, this one says evil because it's for monsters, and then you line them up. And then when you do your initiative, you just line them up in the correct order. So in this case, it would be Cassia, Evil 1, Evil 3, and then Tiberius. It's very cool and very easy. Let me tell you what, as a dungeon master, the number one thing, there goes a clip. The number one thing is when you have players who like to hold their action or delay. And now instead of writing it on a piece of paper and then having to scratch it out and rewrite it, and then you get a whole team of people who are delaying or readying their actions and continuously changing the order of initiative, you can just move the clip and you're done. It has saved my brain so many nights. Just having the clips. It's very easy. I got a whole collection of them now with all sorts of characters. It makes a cool keepsake as well when the game is done. I like this initiative tracker, and like I said, I found it on Pinterest. Check it out. Another thing I was able to find, I just started running 5th edition. I know 5th edition has been out for a very long time, but those of you who know me well know that I love Pathfinder version 1, and I've been running that for a very long time. Looking into 5th edition, I wanted to become aware of the rules. I wanted to help my players become better aware of the rules, so all I did was Google 5th edition rules, rules sheet. There was a couple of different of them out there. I found this one. I like this one the most. It has the most rules on it. It is a front and back, so there's a lot of things here, but most everything you need to know about 5th edition is right here. It's a great tool. You can find them on different websites, download them, print them off. Each one of my players has one of these. I created a portfolio for all of my characters. So it's got their character sheet in there. If I help them with their spells, I cut and paste the descriptions of their spells and print them out for them so they've got them right there. It's really handy for new players, players who haven't been around for a while, or players who have never played Spellcaster before. There's room for notes in there. I put campaign-specific information in there. It's an extra that I've been doing recently, so creating character portfolios. I think it's really cool, and I think a lot of my players have appreciated it. So rules guides. This rules guide, I also love it even more because basically every rule, there's a page reference to what page in the player's handbook, the 5th edition player's handbook, that you can go and find what it's talking about. Great resource. Front and back. Clear plastic holder that I got at Walmart for $4, I think, maybe $5. Great tool. So as you guys hear me talked about quite a bit, my wife is an amazing resource. She finds all sorts of cool game aids and different things like that are just amazing, things that I didn't know existed. So I want to share some of those with you. She got me templates. So this is the circular template, and on this template you can see that there are different rings. So there are rings for different radiuses, and there are also cubes on this as well. So you can do a 5-foot cube, you can do a 10-foot cube, then it's got a 20-foot radius for your fireballs and things like that. This one also has a cone on it. I don't know if you can see it very well, but this one also has a cone on it, a 15-foot cone for you Flaming Hands enthusiasts. This one also has one thing. I've owned this for like a year and didn't even know this was on it until I did this video. There's like a clock system on it, so 12, 11, 1, 2, 3, and that can be used for randomizing direction. So you could roll a d12, and then that would tell you 1, 2, 3, and then you could roll a d6 for distance or whatever you want to do, but there's 5, 10, 15, and 20-foot radius on this. Super easy for when you get that druid who loves Entangle, and they're like, oh, it's a 20-foot radius or whatever Entangle is these days, or your fireball chucking wizard who doesn't care how big the room is, 20-foot radius. You just put the template down over the map, and you can see who's in and who's out. You don't got to draw it on the map. You don't got to argue about squares and blocky and blah blah blah. You just put it over the miniatures, and yes, they're in, or no, they're not. Great tool that I love. Likewise, I have this template as well. So this template's got a big cone on it as well. So this is for your cone of cold and cone of fear and your cone of exhaustion and all that. This one goes out to a 60-foot cone, which is pretty gosh darn cool. It also has the different cubes on it for your sleet storms and things like that. These templates are very cool. They look great. They're easy to use. I love them. I think they're great tools. Thank you, Jamie, for getting these for me. You found them. You showed them to me. They were a great surprise. templates are very cool. Can save you a lot of time, effort, energy, especially if you're gaming late on a Friday or Saturday night. I don't know about you, Dungeon Masters, but when I game late on a Friday or Saturday night, I worked all day Friday, or I was busy all day Saturday doing stuff with or for my family, and my brain just can't take everything that is going on necessarily at that point in time. So templates can save you a lot of time, effort, energy. I think they're great tools, especially these ones that look great. I assume that you can Google them and find them. Another thing that is very helpful that a lot of people have access to is a Dungeon Master screen. So this is the Pathfinder Dungeon Master screen. If you've never seen a Dungeon Master screen or played with one before, they can be really helpful because a lot of times they have a lot of rules on the inside of them. So this is talking about skills and different things like that. It's very cool. I have seen a guy, I couldn't tell you what his name is, I have seen a guy out there who he took an old Dungeon Master screen and then made his own panels. So he just printed out his information, he organized it, printed it out, and then glued it on the inside of this Dungeon Master screen. So it was an old 2nd edition Dungeon Master screen that he was never going to use again. I don't know how he came by it. But he printed out new panels for it that were information that was specific to his. Or you can make your own. You can make your own, get some folding foam core, and like a presentation booklet, and make your own. Great idea, very handy. Make it specific for you. Another thing that's really cool that we've gotten into recently is rolling spaces. So this is a rolling space, comes with a lid. The rolling space is here. I keep my Dungeon Master dice inside. I run a lot of games. So I have my 2 sets of Dungeon Master dice. I used to run games with 5 sets of dice. When you get like monsters with like 5 attacks or 10 attacks or something like that, the extra set of dice can be really helpful. Right now I'm just currently using 2. So anyways, there's an outer track that the dice live in, and then there's the inner track where the dice roll in. I ran Curse of Strahd last night. So I've got that. You can use the lid as a different rolling space, or I usually just combine them together to set them on the table. Very, very cool, very handy. They come in a variety of different shapes and sizes. My friend Davis has a really cool dice tower that was made by Wormwood. Wormwood's a very cool company. Their stuff can be a little pricey, but it's very high quality. The thing that I would say about Wormwood is looking at their dice tower, it looks like it's complicated to put together, but it's not. It's magnetized, and Davis has showed me a couple of times literally how you can just kind of slap it together. You can just get the pieces close enough to it, and the magnets just kind of together by themselves. So then you drop the dice down the top of the tower, and then it rolls around inside and then spits out at the bottom. Dice towers are very cool, very fun to have. Something brand new that my wife Jamie just got me that we're kind of crazy about right now. It's specifically for 5th edition, but you can use them for all kinds of other editions. These are condition rings. So this one says Charmed, for example. So the ring goes over your miniature on the table, and you can rest it on the miniature. Sometimes there's a miniature that its arm points out, and you can put the ring on the arm or the weapon or whatever. But these are very cool to help you remember conditions. Like I said, this set is specific for 5th edition, but there's just so much overlap between 5th edition, 3.5, Pathfinder, different editions, different things like that. So it's definitely a tool that can be reused. Thanks for stopping by, guys. If you've liked what you've seen, go ahead, subscribe, hit the bell, share it with your friends, your grandma, your kids, anybody who you know who games. Share. Get the information out there so we can share the things that we love. Go ahead and feel free to drop us a comment. So what sort of tools do you use? What is your favorite way to go? Do you use maps? Have you seen a digital map before? Do you use the theater of the mind? Maybe you've got a brand new system, a way of handling combat and things like that I've never even heard of. So go ahead, leave us a comment. If you have any cool ideas, go ahead and leave those for us too. Thank you for spending your time with us here at the Dragons Lyre.